All right, on the line with Jason Rivera. What's going on, homie?
Man, doing pretty good. And you?
Doing good, man. Gonna talk some basketball here on this episode of OSC Talk. And, we come from Oklahoma. We spent our formative years there. So, I'm not personally a fan of any particular team in the NBA. We now live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we go to a couple Mavs games. We root for them. That's what we do. We root for the hometown team. But if any team, any other team out there does pique my interest, it is the Oklahoma City Thunder, being that we are from Oklahoma originally. And they've had a hell of an offseason, man. Sam Presti, coming into this season, Sam Presti is like the favorite on executive of the year. I just don't see how anyone else can be vying for that title. What about yourself?
I mean, him and Boston. I mean, the guy from Boston doing just as well. I mean, Ainge is doing just as much work. I mean, he brought Kyrie Irving in. He brought Gordon Hayward in. I mean, both of them. But I think for the market and how big the Thunder market is versus the Boston market. Yeah, I think Oklahoma City Thunder, exec has probably got it in the bag.
Oh, man, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, that is Oklahoma City's biggest hindrance. I mean, we're talking about a franchise that's, take away the Seattle history. We're talking about a city that's only had that team for about 9 years. And then within those 9 years, they've gone through so many ups and downs. I mean, they drafted 2 or 3 superstar players, and Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. They made it to the NBA Finals when they got defeated by the Big Three down in Miami. They go through what seemed to be like a crippling blow in Kevin Durant leaving them, and then they bounce back with Russ's historic MVP season, this phenomenal offseason, and look where we're at right now. I mean, this is a small market in Oklahoma City making these big waves. I mean, it's incredible to see.
I mean, it's crazy that he's brought in big names, PG and Melo, when just like you mentioned not too long ago, we were dealing with Harden, and we couldn't shove out $4 million extra to keep Harden.
But I keep hearing that, but obviously no one could have predicted the player that Harden eventually became. And then I shoot this to you as well. Would he have become that good of a player had he stayed with Oklahoma City in the role that he was in? Was he eventually going to make it to the starting lineup?
That's the crazy thing. From what I've read and from what I've heard, he was comfortable. He was comfortable where he was at. He just wanted the extra $4 million. He didn't care about starting. He was actually fine where he was at. I thought he was playing good. I think he still would have been playing good. Now, maybe later on down the line, would they have thought about maybe putting him in the starting lineup? Probably. But I think at the time, at the time that it was, he was comfortable coming off the bench. He didn't care if he was starting. He just wanted the money for what he was doing. And I kind of agree with him. It was just $4 million extra. And you would have had him for another, I think, 4 years?
Well, it may have just been, I don't know the exact details, but it may have just been $4 million as far as what Harden would have gotten. But I'm going to assume that those $4 million may have put him over the luxury tax.
True.
It would have been more than just $4 million for Oklahoma City.
Yeah. But most teams kind of take the hit and they just kind of pay it back towards, at the end of the year for the luxury tax. But it is what it is. I mean, I'm sure the $4 million would have been a really big hindrance for them. Maybe it would have caused them to not sign a couple extra players. Maybe get a better bench. Maybe that was the reason. I mean, who knows? But still, I think for how he was playing, I think you could have risked it.
So I keep hearing that they're the number 2 team in the West, and I agree. But that also makes them the number 2 team in the whole NBA. I mean, would you agree with that?
No, I wouldn't say number 2 team in the whole NBA. And I probably wouldn't even – I would say 2B. I still think San Antonio's they're just a better team. They have a really good coach. They have a really lot of veteran presence in there. Yeah, their players – some of them are kind of getting older, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. But still, you got people that have been there and done it for so long, and their bench is pretty damn deep. So I would put Spurs as 2A and then maybe the Thunder at 2B. That's how I would do it because I still think Cleveland is the number 2 team behind the Warriors. I mean, no matter what you do, no matter what you get, I mean, you still got LeBron, you still got the rest of his team. I mean, I still think Cleveland is number 2.
All right, I can accept Cleveland because they have LeBron James. And granted, Isaiah Thomas, from what we're hearing, is not healthy at the moment. But you still have LeBron James. I mean, case closed. I get it. But San Antonio, no, I'm not buying that at all, man. I mean, do you remember what Kawhi Leonard was doing the last time he was in an NBA game?
He was hurt. There's not much he could have done.
He was hurt. So how's he going to come back?
He'll come back fine because even when they weren't, even when he was in the game, they were beating. I don't know if you remember this, but they were beating the Warriors by 20-something points before he went down.
And then you have LaMarcus Aldridge coming off of a lackluster season, lackluster playoffs. Like you said, Tony Parker's getting older, Manu Ginobili's getting older. Who else do they have outside of those 4?
I mean, they just picked up Rudy Gay, which is going to be a pretty good complimentary piece. He'll come off the bench. I think he'll be fine. He's going to be more of a role player instead of a starter, but still, that's a really good 6th man to come off the bench. I mean, who else can you put in there? I mean, you got Patty Mills as a point guard, and he's proven that he can run the team. So, I mean, there's no problem there. You don't really need Parker to be playing 30 minutes a game, so you got Patty Mills that can do most of it. And Manu's always come off the bench. So we're not asking a lot from him. He does his part. He understands his part. I still think the Spurs, if not 3, they're still the 4th best team in the league.
All right, so that kind of answers my next question. I was fixing to ask you if Oklahoma City would be the Warriors' biggest threat, but coming off your assessment of the Spurs, I'm going to take that as maybe a no.
No, I mean, it's both. I just think that the Spurs. I think Spurs are going to be the biggest threat because their bench is better. I don't know if you got a chance to look at the Thunder roster, but their bench really. There's no marquee names. There's no names that are household names. I mean, most of them you kind of have to think about who they are. So. With that said, I mean, I still think Spurs are probably the biggest threat, but I mean, Thunder are right there. I mean, they got 3 good players, 1 defensive stopper in Roberson. They got a good center in Adams. If he plays good, they'll be pretty good.
One of the biggest things that I think is going to be focused on coming into this season is how quickly and how well this Oklahoma City Thunder team will gel. And, can Russell Westbrook adapt his game to accommodate 2 other All-Stars? I think of the Miami Big 3. They started out their season 9-8. Back in 2010, I believe, was their first year together. And, I remember back then it was over. Everybody wrote them off. The Big 3 wasn't going to work. It's an epic fail. And then they eventually turned it around, making the finals that year. I mean, do you see a similar situation happen in Oklahoma City?
I mean, just like any team that gets together, there's going to be some hiccups. Last year with KD, the Warriors got spanked by like 20 in their first game against the Spurs. So, I mean, that was a different situation. I mean, they did get blown out in the first game, but I'm not going to say the rest of the games that are after that were like that. I'm pretty sure they ended up winning I'm pretty sure they went on like a win streak, but still, I mean, they had a gel. I mean, I think they'll gel. I mean, I don't think it'll be anything drastic that we got to worry about, but I think they'll gel. I think Melo's at a point in time where, in my opinion, he understands what needs to be done. He understands he ain't got much time left himself, so I think he'll figure it out and think that if this is going to work out, I got to make sure that I'm I'm not being selfish. I'm not asking for the ball too much, and I'm going to let Russ do his thing. And when it comes time for me to play, I'm going to play. I think they're going to gel. How long? I don't think it'll take very long, but it will take a couple of games though.
So here recently, Russell signed his extension. He opted to stay in Oklahoma City. And first of all, round of applause to Russell Westbrook for making that decision. A lot of people were pretty skeptical, myself included, were pretty skeptical of him staying. But after I got to thinking about it, he's in a very unique situation with that team. I mean, take away the fact that he's in a small market. He owns that team in a manner that, outside of LeBron James, I don't think a lot of players can claim they own a team and own a city on the level of those two players. Kobe Bryant's another player that comes to mind. Obviously, he's no longer in the league. But outside of LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, no other one player, owns a team in a city like those two do. What do you think?
I think you can add Steph. I think Steph owns.
You see, I don't agree. Steph is important in Golden State, don't get me wrong, but man, you got KD there, who is arguably the second best player in the league. You got Draymond Green, who's a big over-the-top personality. You got Klay Thompson, who's, he's hanging around there as well. But me personally, I don't see Steph Curry on that level of those two.
I agree now. I would agree now. I think before KD came there, yes, but now that he's come there and now that he's done what he's done, yes, I can agree. I think KD took over the mantle. I think he is now the face of that of that city. Curry took a back seat. So I guess if you put it like that, then yeah, probably just Westbrook and James.
So with that being said, man, this is easily Russ's most important season. I mean, he's coming off his MVP season. He's going to have the pressure of integrating two all-stars into that offense and making this thing work. I mean, it's going to be on his shoulders. PG and Melo, they'll have to do their share of the load. They'll have to take on their share of the load. But make no mistake, this is all going to depend on Russell Westbrook. But also the Thunder themselves as a team and as an organization. This has got to be their most important year. I mean, granted, they've been to the NBA Finals, but this is a different type of pressure that I think this team is going to be facing, and they've never faced this kind of pressure before.
Well, I mean, true. I think so. But I also think they had pressure last year. With KD, well, not last year, but the year that KD was going to leave. I think you can say there was pressure there because you were thinking all year long, was he going to leave? Was he going to stay? I mean, what was he going to do? Did it affect their game? Probably not. But I think deep down there was some pressure, at least as far as organization, to keep him. But no, I can agree. I think this year is going to be a big step for them. I mean, they got three legitimate stars. What are they going to do? How are they going to mesh? I don't think it's going to be as much pressure for like Russ, just because now he does have help. If it was last season, then yeah, I mean, he's got pressure because it's literally all on him. But I think now he's got people to spread it across now. He doesn't have to do it all by himself. I think the only pressure he's going to have is, how am I going to get them involved? I think that's really it. But as far as having to lead this team, he's got three people that can help him out and that can, they can come together and figure it out. I don't think it's going to be as bad. Will people say differently? I mean, yeah, of course, because you have three stars. I personally think it's going to be a pretty good season. I don't think there'll be as much pressure. And so I'm expecting really big things from these folks.
Can Oklahoma City fans finally move on from KD? I think the organization's given them enough reason to. I thought Russ gave them enough reason to last season with his historic season. But come on, I think we can move on now.
No, you can. There's no need to keep harping about it no more. He's gone. I would even say halfway through the season last year, with the way Russ was playing, I think you can say at that point in time we were moved on. So yeah, there's no need to go back and think about, oh man, KD messes up or this and that. No, we're good. There's no more. We can focus on Russ. We can focus on the season now. We got two other good players with them. Let's just have a good time with this team.
All right, so let's stay with KD, because as well as Oklahoma City's offseason went, KD's was the complete opposite. I mean, what is going on with this dude, man? You would have thought he won his championship. He would ride off into the sunset, but then it just seems like it's just one stupid incident after another. He just has a tendency to get caught up in dumb shit. I mean, what's your take on how he's kind of evolved throughout not only the past season, but this off season heading into this season?
I've been reading a lot of articles, and I've watched a lot of First Take and a lot of ESPN, and some of them have been saying, and I kind of have to agree. I think this is a little bit of it. I think that he was hoping that once he won the championship, it was all going to just subside, and when it didn't, you see his true feelings come out. 'Cause a lot of people say LeBron is very sensitive, but I mean, as you can see, we can tell KD is just sensitive too. What we say and what the media sees of him, he's very much, he very much takes it personally. And he wants us to like him. He wants us to go ahead and forgive him for what he did. And I guess you can say that's the reason why he's doing what he's doing. But at the same time, he's also come out and said that, and deep down, he's just like us. He's just he's just a young guy. He likes to be on Twitter, likes to talk to people. I mean, who knows? He could be right, or we could be right that he's just very sensitive. He just wants us to like him.
Do you think any of this affects his play this coming season? I mean, the Warriors, they've been on a hell of a roll the past 3 to 4 years. I mean, they've made the NBA Finals 3 straight times, winning 2 of them. Do you see this kind of putting a dent in the armor?
No, I don't think so. I think he'll be fine. Maybe if he keeps going at it, even if it's like midway through the season, then maybe I can see it, affecting him. But if he's kind of like LeBron, where he can just kind of put the whole media stuff, to the side once season comes and it's all about business and being focused for the team, then no, I don't see them, faltering, because of this.
All right. So you mentioned Steph Curry earlier, talking about he was the face of that team and the face of that franchise. Again, I don't put him on the same level as LeBron or Russell Westbrook, but now you got KD, who's, again, arguably the second best player in the whole league, pretty big personality himself. And, last season they did a pretty good job of kind of splitting the load and not falling into that trap of, whose team is it? Is it KD's team? Is it Steph's team? But here we go with year number 2. Do you think they're going to do a good job of managing that situation, or you think we might see a little bit of a power struggle?
Only if Kerr can do his job. If Kerr can do his job and keep that team, focused, then yeah, I can kind of see something happening. Maybe if it's not between Steph and KD, I can kind of see Clay. I think Clay maybe liked being a number 2, person before KD came. If anybody is going to make a riffle, I think maybe it's going to be him. I think Steph kind of, he's got his contract. He understands where he's at. I think deep down inside, I think Steph is more of a team player. I think he will be a little more willing to give up a little bit more of the load and let KD handle it. I got a feeling Clay, if anybody, it will be Clay who's going to maybe be a little bit of heartbroken if things don't go his way.
Shout out to Klay Thompson. Obviously, Kevin Durant's had a shitty offseason, but Klay Thompson's up there himself. I mean, his Anta overseas tour in China did not go as planned. Did you happen to catch any of his fail highlights?
The only one I saw was that he went for a dunk twice and got hung. That's the only one that I saw. I didn't see anything else. I honestly don't really follow him that much. But what I did see was that I guess they were playing a game or something. I guess they were kind of chilling around. I guess they asked him, maybe go for a dunk or something like that, or maybe he was trying to dunk and he got hung like twice. That I did see.
So he got hung up twice, like you said, and then he had, that dumbass move that they do where they're bringing the ball up the court and they get down low and they're dribbling all slow and dramatic and they pull up for a 3, and I think he airballed it, man, and.
Did he really?
Not exactly the way way a promotional tour is supposed to go for your shoe. You're trying to entice people to buy your shoe, not stray them away from your shoe. So I think he's up there with KD as far as a failed offseason.
It might show his true colors of how he feels about that shoe. He probably doesn't care himself, man.
So speaking of shoes, I mean, this should be obvious for anyone that's heard our last 2 episodes together. Kevin Durant made that comment about Under Armour shoes, about no one wanting to play in them. I think Steph did come out and kind of, squashed it and say, hey, listen, we're not going to let dumb shit like that, take our focus away from our ultimate goal. But that had to have kind of bothered him just a little bit. What do you think?
Maybe just because it was his teammate. Maybe from that aspect. Maybe I don't know, man. At the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm sure deep down inside, Steph understands where KD is coming, and maybe he even agrees that maybe he is right. But I don't think so. I mean, I think if he can deal with the fact that KD became bigger than him last year, I'm sure he can put this to the side.
I don't know, Mag. Steph Curry's got some Under Armour stock. I mean, it was part of his deal with Under Armour. So, I mean, he's got a lot of reasons to want that brand to succeed. And for KD to come out and say that shit against his brand, whether or not it's true, I mean, you're the dude's teammate, man. I mean, I thought that was kind of a low blow by Kevin Durant. And not to mention the fact that his ass would be in Under Armour as well had it not been for Nike matching his contract.
Yeah, I mean, but I think I don't know, man. I think in the end, I think KD probably wanted to stay. I think he was just trying to get Nike to do what he wanted. And so he maybe pulled a tactic, maybe saying, you know what, I am thinking about Under Armour, but I think in the end of the day, I think he was going to stay with Nike, regardless. I mean, he was already at the point in time, what was it, 6-7 shoes already into his thing? I mean, why pull out now? I mean, I think he just I think he was more like Wade. I think he wanted a little more money. Nike maybe wasn't, maybe was a little hesitant at first. And so maybe he did go talk to, Under Armour, see what they can do. But I think at the end of the day, I think he wanted to do Nike. I don't see why he wouldn't go anywhere else.
So we both agree. Golden State, clear-cut number one. I think the only thing that can defeat Golden State is injuries. So we got them going to the NBA Finals for probably a 4th straight year. Or would this be a 5th straight year? No, it'll be a 4th straight year for these guys.
It'll be 4 because it's been 3 already. 3 against Cleveland, so it'll be 4. I do think that I don't think it's going to be as easy as it was last season. I will say that. I think it'll be a little harder.
Well, I don't think it's ever easy. I mean, we just got done talking
last year.
We just got done talking about Oklahoma City improving. They're not the only ones. I mean, Minnesota improved themselves quite a bit. Houston Rockets improved themselves. I mean, everyone's gunning for them. It's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be easy, but it'll be easier. It won't, but it'll be harder than last year. Last year, I mean, granted, going to the finals is not an easy task. Yes, I get it. 3 straight years, it does take a lot of hard work. But you really can't say that it was hard when they went 4-0, and then came back and swept the Thunder in the last three games. I mean, when you're easily dismantling the first 3 teams that you face, I mean, to me, I think that's easy. But I think this year, I think that they will have some games underneath their belts before they get to the finals.
Who in the East has a sliver of a chance against them? I mean, besides the Cavs, it's either going to be the Cavaliers or the Celtics going to the NBA Finals representing the Eastern Conference. I mean, you know what? Let's just take the Cavs out of the equation because we've seen that matchup 3 times. I mean, granted, it's going to be a different matchup if they do meet again in the finals, but, let's not talk about the Cavs. You think the Celtics will have a shot against them?
Thinking about it, they might have a slight chance. I don't think they have one big in Horford, but he's not. I think he's more of a power forward. He's not really a true 5. I'm trying to think of the roster. I don't think they really have a true 5 because their centers. They're not Golden State centers really aren't the best centers in the world, but they really are true centers. I mean, there's some big dudes down there. I can't think of anybody on Golden State. I mean, on Boston that can match up with them.
the only way they can match up is if Horford goes down there and he plays the 5, he can come out to the wing and do his thing out there. Other than that, I mean, I don't know, man. The Wizards looked pretty good last year until Boston came through and beat them. But honestly, no. I mean, I just see really Boston and Cleveland. I mean, to be honest with you.
Well, how did the Wizards improve themselves? What kind of offseason did they have?
I don't think they added anybody. I just know that they kept Wall. That was their main target was keeping John Wall. I think they had a pretty good draft. But no, I mean, as far as acquisitions, I don't think anybody big went there. If there was, I'm sorry, but I can't remember anything right now. I think, but still, even if they did add somebody, or they didn't add anybody, their team from last year is pretty damn good though.
So another story that's going to be big, and we're going to hear about it countless times throughout the day, throughout the week, and it's going to reach the point of absurdity, is LeBron James and whether or not he's going to leave Cleveland. Is this LeBron James' last season in Cleveland? Before we even get into it, what's your gut feeling? What do you think? Is he going to stay or is he going to go?
Honestly, if you asked me like last week, if we had this conversation last week, I would say he's going to go. Now that Russ did sign his extension, I think things might have changed, because you got to think about it. LeBron was supposed to go there, and the people that he was supposed to join were Russ and PG. Those are the two names that always kept popping up.
We're supposed to go
to LA.
Okay, so go to LA.
Apparently, because Russ was apparently I wouldn't say he was linked to LA, but a lot of people kept saying that he wouldn't mind going back to LA because that's where he went to school at. So they were thinking that if anything, Russ is going to go. Well, then also PG was linked to the Lakers. He kept saying that he wanted to play in LA, play in Magic, this and that. Well, Russ signs his extension, so now Russ is out the equation. Okay, so PG just came out and said that Russ signing his extension kind of makes that place look a little bit more tempting to sign back with. So if PG wants to stay, I don't see LeBron going anywhere. I think he stays. I think he sticks it out. I think we see him in Cleveland longer than what we thought.
What's gonna tempt Paul George and Carmelo to stay is whether or not they win. I think if they have a great season, and when I say great season, I mean at least make the Western Conference Finals. I mean, that's got to be the expectation for that Oklahoma City Thunder team. So they at least make the Western Conference Final, possibly go to the NBA Finals. If that happens, I think there's a real good chance that Paul George and Carmelo stay with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I agree with you. I mean, if the pieces are not going to be in LA for LeBron to go and win quickly, he's not going to go through a rebuild. I mean, that's not his MO. He spent the first 7 years of his NBA career dealing with shit like that.
He did it too many times. He did it too many times, and it failed too many times. He's not going to want to do it again. And just like you said, there needs to be at least maybe one more person guaranteed to go there for him to at least think about it. Because he's not going to want to play with Ball and Ingram and Randall, people who haven't quite. What am I trying to say? I mean, they've shown that they can play, but they just haven't won yet. He's not going to want to be the only person there.
I wouldn't be shocked if he left, and I wouldn't be shocked if he left for any team. I mean, within reason, any team that has a shot of winning, because it's just the day and age that we live in. I wouldn't be shocked. But, man, I got a feeling that he's going to stay. I think LeBron accepts that this is it for him. This is his legacy. I don't think he's going to match Jordan in championship wins. I mean, right now he has 3. He'll have to win 3 more times to match MJ, another one to surpass MJ, but he's still going to have a losing NBA Finals record. Well, if my math's correct, if he wins, because right now he is 3-7.
3 yeah, 3-7.
So no, I'm sorry, he's 3-4. He's been to 7 finals, So I think he's accepted that, hey, this is it. I'm going to be known as the second greatest player of all time, which is nothing to sneeze at. Don't get me wrong. That's pretty damn good. Man, I think he stays in Cleveland, man. That's what I think.
I honestly might not. I mean, they have a good team. Love is going to be there for, I think, if I'm correct, another 2 years, I think. And I think if they decide they can sign Isaiah Thomas, I don't think they will, just because he's going to ask for a whole bunch. You still got Derrick Rose, who signed there for 1 year for, I think, like $2.3 million. So I'm sure if he wants to sign again, he can sign for a really good contract. Maybe not anything like expensive that he wants, but enough to where Cleveland can sign him and maybe some other pieces. Wade, I don't know. I think he might be done. I mean, who knows?
You mentioned Isaiah Thomas. I'm going to put him number 3 in worst offseason. And that might sound a little funny. He's on Cleveland. He's going to be playing with LeBron. You know, they got a pretty damn good chance of making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, if not NBA Finals. But with him coming into this season hurt, you know, there's talks of him possibly not playing until after December. You know, when it's time to re-up, unless he has a fucking out-of-this-world season, the man's not going to get paid like he thinks he's going to get paid.
I don't think he's going to get paid regardless, to be honest with you. I mean, because of the hip injury. I think that's what's going to keep him out. No one's going to want to risk that. Unless you're a small team looking to hit it big. I mean, yeah, maybe, you know, take a risk and sign him. But any big team I don't think they're going to do it.
You know, I hear all this talk of there's no loyalty in today's NBA. You know, today's NBA player, they don't want to commit to teams and build teams and relationships and, man, all this other bullshit that I personally don't subscribe to, because perfect example is Isaiah Thomas. I mean, there's a case to be made that, man, Danny Ainge did that dude pretty dirty. I mean, he hurt his value. Well, it's no secret he played hurt in the playoffs. No one really kind of knew the extent of the injury. And then just the way the whole trade went down with Cleveland asking for more because he failed the physical and whatnot. And it kind of looked like Danny Ainge was bartering with damaged goods. I mean, he hurt his value tremendously, I thought.
I think I don't know, because I was kind of reading up on this, and I kept every night listening to ESPN. This story was on there like left and right. I don't know if apparently Boston did put it out there that he was still hurt.
Well, they have to disclose that.
Yeah,
but the extent of how hard he was.
Yeah, but I think Cleveland took it as if I guess maybe they didn't, you know, I don't know, because Cleveland was saying that they didn't think that he was still hurt like that. They just assumed that he was good. He would be able to play. They didn't realize that he was going to be sitting out for like an extended period of time. But I still think just in general, just because of the injury that he has, regardless of what happened between them and, you know, Cleveland, I just think his injury and how long he's out, and for, you know, and for his age, I think that's what's going to hurt it. Regardless of what happened between him and Boston and, you know, Cleveland, the fact that he's injured with his hip and he's like 30, I want to say 30, like 31 maybe, I think somewhere in there. That's going to make it a really hard decision for someone to actually really sign him to a very long contract.
How long before you realized he wasn't Isaiah Thomas's son? I had no idea. I just assumed. I think I was questioning that too whenever he came out of college. Even when I heard his name, I was like, I wonder if it was related to him. But no, he's not. But interesting little fact that he was named after Isaiah Thomas. You know the story behind that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I guess his father named him after Isaiah Thomas. I think it was his favorite player. It was something along those lines, but you ought to, you know, look into that. It's actually a pretty neat story. But
that's interesting.
But going back to LeBron, say he does decide to leave Cleveland. I think it's safe to say we don't see another decision. You know, I think that was one of the dumbest moves ever made by a superstar athlete, the way he made that initial decision, which I think ESPN is just as guilty in that whole fiasco.
They hyped it up.
You know, poor judgment, you know, made by LeBron, obviously, but ESPN is just as culpable in that situation, in my opinion, as LeBron is. But we don't see anything like that, obviously.
No, it's gonna be. I think it'll be a straight, you know, agent comes out and says, "Hey, he's gonna go or he's gonna stay." It'll be something pretty simple, nothing too extravagant. Because if he does that again, I think that's gonna ruin his whole thing.
I thought Cleveland fans were wrong the first time around for burning jerseys and shit like that. I mean, that whole idea is just stupid, especially a guy like LeBron that, he gave them his all for 7 years and did great things for that franchise and that city. I just think the whole idea is stupid, but they burned jerseys this time around. They're dead wrong.
No, there's no need. I mean, he's done plenty for them. He did exactly what he wanted to do. He brought a championship. He's done what he's supposed to do for that team. There's nothing else you can do for that team. If he wants to leave, let him leave.
So the big rumor was LA, and we kind of discussed why we don't think that's going to be the case anymore, especially if Oklahoma City does very well this season. Where else do you see him going if it's not LA?
That's the thing. I don't see anything else. LA, just because of the fact that it's LA. I mean, he's been known to be in that area. In the off season, he's been apparently looking for schools for his son. I mean, if it's not LA, I don't see anybody else. I mean, who else is out there? The Clippers.
No, he's gone on the record and said that he wouldn't play for the Clippers, and I agree.
Well, there you go. It's going to be it's going to be either L.A. or he's going to stay at home.
L.A. will forever be known as Kobe Bryant's, with all due respect to Magic Johnson and the players of that era. Kobe Bryant is the face of the L.A. Lakers. And I think LeBron's aware of stuff like that, man. He recognizes stuff like that. And I just don't think he'll put himself in that position to be compared to Kobe Bryant. He's already compared to Michael Jordan, but to put himself in the same franchises as Kobe Bryant, I don't see him making that move.
Do you think the Lakers fans would like him to join?
That's an interesting question. I mean, it's tough to say
after what you just said. After what you just said, it was the Showtime Lakers. That was the face of the franchise first, and now it's Kobe. Do you really think they want him to be there?
They might say, I can easily see LA fans saying, nah, we don't want LeBron over here. But he steps on the floor. He starts doing what LeBron does. He starts winning games. All's forgiven,
I guess, maybe let's tweak the answer. For wins and championship, yes. Now, if he was to try to surpass Kobe, no, I don't think anybody wants him there for that.
Nah, I agree. I agree 100%. So yeah, there's all this talk of him looking for houses in LA and whatnot. Any chance? I mean, this is going to be a super flaming hot take coming from the deepest depths of hell. Maybe retirement after this season?
No, yeah. If I was to guess, he hasn't done enough. I mean, I think he said it plenty of times now. He hasn't done enough. He's still chasing, whatever he's chasing. I guess he calls it the GOAT. So I mean, Jordan, obviously, but I mean, if he wants to retire, he hasn't done enough to say that he's that he's caught up to to the GOAT. I mean, like you say, he's 3-4 in the finals. If he goes out losing again, is that the way you want to leave? Probably not. I think he's still got, what is he? He's 32. At least 3 more years. I give him 3 more years before he really decides. Okay, it's time to hang him up.
Let's look at the Eastern Conference real quick. So Melo leaves New York. Obviously, gets traded from New York. Paul George gets traded from Indiana. Both of them going to Oklahoma City, West Coast team. Who the hell's left in the Eastern Conference? I mean, say LeBron leaves next season. Like, there is nobody in that conference. I mean, there are some players there. I mean, let me not be overly dramatic here, but big time marquee names, it's going to be tough.
No, I mean, yeah, if LeBron leaves, who's going to be that player that you're going to go look at, on the East when he's on the West playing? Who's going to be that one person that's going to attract people to the stadiums? I mean, I'm not saying, but arenas. I mean, you got the Celtics, Kyrie, and Hayward, maybe. John Wall's not. He's good. He's a household name. He deserves to be he deserves to be a superstar. But is he? He's not on LeBron's level. I mean, honestly, you don't really have much.
How much stock are you buying in the Greek Freak?
I buy a lot. I think he'll be good. I mean, he's still like 22 years old. Plenty of time to come up there. Will he be as good as LeBron? Probably not. But will he be, eventually, top 15, 20 player? I think he can.
So with Melo and PG hopping over to the Western Conference for this upcoming season, it's going to be really interesting because those were two Eastern Conference All-Stars last season, and they were reserves, if I'm not mistaken. So one would think they hop over to the West, they're probably going to take up 2 spots on that All-Star team. So that's going to leave 2 All-Stars from last year off the team. And then looking at the Eastern Conference All-Star team, you would think, okay, they free up 2 spots. 2 more guys kind of come up. I just can't think of who it could be.
I was doing that right now. I'm trying to figure out who were some snubs from last season, and the West had a whole bunch because that West is stacked. I mean,
it's like it's almost like they should go to some kind of pool concept of players and just kind of do like an open draft and not worrying about the conferences per se.
Well, no, I don't care about that. What I do care is because I was reading into it like last year when they were doing the whole All-Star voting, and it's weird that they don't. Oh, because a lot of people were getting mad that they only have like one center per squad. And I think it's because they don't even have a center on there, or it was something along the lines of. It's mainly forwards and guards is who you get. You don't really get anybody else because they were arguing because I think it was like who was it like Davis Anthony Davis was like taking up like one of the forward spots when he's actually like a center. I mean, it was something like that because I wish that when what my honest opinion is about the All-Star and like in NBA, I wish they would take one representative from each team. I get it. Basketball only has 15 spots, but this is the All-Star game. Who cares about how many people you have on your team? Why can't you have one representative from each team? Just like in baseball.
But then you're going to have more snubs than ever. I mean, look at Oklahoma City. You got 3 All-Stars on that team alone.
No, it doesn't
look at
mean
Golden
you can't.
State.
But it doesn't mean you can't. You can't take the 4 from there and 3 from the Thunder. It doesn't mean you can't leave like let's just say. The Western Conference, team.
Okay, so you're suggesting have more than 15 spots?
Yeah, have more than 15 spots. Who cares? Because it's it's an All-Star game. I mean, as long as you get picked to be an All-Star, I don't think a lot of them even care that they play. There's some people that play like 2 minutes and then sit the rest of the game. I think a lot of people care about being picked more than about being played. I mean, more about them playing. So why can't you just make it maybe like 20? Or 20, I guess 20 spots will be enough. That way, there's some teams like, let's just say the Kings. I'm sure they have an all-star on that team, but no one's going to know because we don't pick those players.
Well, refresh my memory. Is there anything at stake in an NBA All-Star game? Isn't it like?
No, it's just bragging rights.
Okay, so that's just a straight exhibition game.
I'm pretty sure it's just bragging rights. That's it. Baseball, you do have the winning team takes home field advantage, but I think basketball is just bragging rights.
So I was looking at the playoffs for the Eastern Conference last season because it's been well known for the last decade or so, possibly longer, that the perception of the Eastern Conference is that it's inferior to the Western Conference, but they were actually fairly even as far as the lower seeds went. The 8th seed in both the Western and Eastern Conference were 500 teams at 41-41. It didn't start getting it didn't get lopsided until you got to like the 5th and 4th seed, where those teams had much better records in the Western Conference as opposed to the Eastern Conference. There's been some talk, we talked about like a pool of players for the All-Star game. There's been talk in the past of just having open seeding, sort of like NCAA, how they do their tournament for the NBA playoffs, where you simply just take the 16 best teams and let them go at it. Obviously, from an owner's perspective, they don't want that. 8 owners on the, there's going to be owners in the Eastern Conference that are going to lose out on that money. So I get that that's not going to happen based on just that. But as far as the fans go and giving the fans the best product possible, that's got to be the best way to go about it.
Now, open seating. Now, are we going to? We're going to say the top 16 teams. Are we going to break it down? Well, I guess it's literally 1 versus 16, right? It doesn't matter if it's West versus West,
right?
Or not that, but like West versus East. I'm assuming that doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
Right,
We're looking at open seating.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I would rather have the top 16 teams play. I mean, how many times have you seen the East? Just like you said, the top, or not top, but the bottom three teams, worse records, than the last 9, 10, 11 seeds in the West. How many times have we seen that happen?
We've seen it quite a bit.
I mean, I think there was one year, I forgot what year it was. I want to say I think LeBron was still with the Heat, where the top 4 teams in the East all had winning records and the bottom 4 teams all had losing records. And if you look at the West, I want to say 9, 10, 11, maybe even 12 had better records than the bottom 4 teams on the East. I mean, that to me sucks. I mean, yeah, it shows how good the West is and shows how bad the East is, but at least with the open seating, you're gonna pay those teams that did play their asses off, that did do really good, earn a playoff spot. And so I'm for it.
So again, we now live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Let's talk a little bit of Mavs basketball. Dirk's last season. What do you think is going to be his legacy after this season?
Oh, he's going to be one of the greatest players to ever play.
He's top 5 of all-time scorers, correct?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's 5. I think it may be 6. Regardless, he's going to. I think he's going to end up in the 5th spot. I'm pretty sure before season ends. Overall, as far as overall workload, I think he's at least top 10. I don't see why not. I think he's going to be. What's his position? The 4. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's his actual position. Mm-hmm. Where he ranks as far as the 4s go, I don't know. There's a bunch of 4s out there. You got some people say Tim Duncan is the best power forward that's ever played a game. Joe's have the mailman out there. He's where does he fall? Where does Dirk fall? In that whole entire category. He's definitely going to be top 5 within that position rank. I think top 10 overall.
I think he's the best shooting power forward of all time. I mean, I can't think of anyone else.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean that freaking fadeaway. You can't do anything about that. There's nothing you can do about that fadeaway.
It's unguardable when he's on his when he's feeling it and he's on his shit. It's unguardable. I tell you what, man. I still cannot believe they were the ones that defeated the Big 3. During their first season. I mean, that Big 3 just seemed like it was destined for them to just plow through Dallas and win that championship. I mean, it's one of my fondest memories as a sports fan is being at home in Fort Worth watching them win the championship. And if I'm not mistaken, they won it in Miami. Yeah, they did because
they did.
Because Mark Cuban went to the club with the trophy and went and used the bathroom with it. And Lil Wayne partied with them. Traitor.
Do you remember who they had? Do you remember who Dallas had?
Yeah, Dirk, JJ Barea, Tyson Chandler, Jason Kidd. I mean, those are the names that I can think of right off the top. And
I mean, those are besides Kidd and Dirk. Maybe I was gonna say Barea. A lot of people love him. But I guess but besides Kidd and Dirk, none of those players are household names. You really got to figure out who those players are.
Well, it's the truest meaning of making the most of what you got. I mean, Rick Carlisle is just, one hell of a coach, and he's just been able. I mean, here lately, Dallas hasn't been doing too hot, but that particular year, man, when it all comes together, I mean, they're a perfect example of it's a team sport. So, granted, the big three, they're the big three names, obviously, but they just didn't have the team that Dallas had. The overall chemistry, the cohesiveness, the desire. I think it can be argued that Dallas was hungrier in that series. Whereas I'm not saying Miami wasn't hungry per se, but it was expected that they would win. Maybe they went into it underestimating Dallas.
No, I can see that. I can definitely see, that being the case. Maybe, the big three and Miami thought they can do it all by themselves. Maybe it was something like that. They weren't involved in the team where Dallas was involved in everybody. And things were just clicking better. A lot of things. I mean, what I say, because because honestly, I barely remember that series. I don't remember if it was anything to do with him, or not him, but the team. Just looking at Dallas, saying, you know what, it's Dallas. We got this. Should be no problems. Because I'm pretty sure if you ask James and them, they took them just as hard as anybody else. But I just think maybe the top three, the big three people, Bosh, Wade, and James, I think they just try to do way too much, and where Dallas wasn't focused on just getting it to Dirk. They were focused on giving it to everybody.
So we got a few minutes left here before we wrap this bad boy up. Just gonna do some quick rapid fire questions here real quick. Your prediction this coming season here in the NBA, who's gonna win it all?
I mean, I hate to say it. I think it's going to be Golden State. I just don't see who. I don't see who can take him down.
Who's going to be the MVP?
Hopefully, no one from Golden State. Hopefully, but you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if James gets it. I wouldn't. Just with just with everything that's going on. Kyrie leaving, doesn't want to play with him. I can see James having a really, really great season.
And lastly, so Cleveland does open against the Celtics, and I do not know if it's Cleveland at Boston or Boston at Cleveland. I'm gonna guess it's Boston at Cleveland. James wants that's got to be the most important game of the season for LeBron James. I'm gonna predict a Cavs win in that game right there. Who, if you had to choose between one of those two teams, opening night in the NBA, who you got?
Oh, the Cavs, just because Boston's got a Joe within the next 15 days. I mean, I think Cleveland, Cleveland's got it. All they got to do is add in Rose, and I think Wade knows James. That's not going to be a problem. All you really got to do is just add. You just got to add in Derrick Rose and make sure he understands the game plan. The rest of the team is fine. We're in Boston. You pretty much got a brand new team. So yeah, I think Cavs got it. Interesting enough, though, also Oklahoma City opens up with the Knicks. That's their first game.
I'm going to make a prediction in that game. Oklahoma City is going to demolish the New York Knicks.
Oh, they are. I got a feeling maybe even Melo might go off.
I think Melo can actually wear the hoodie in that game, and
he'll
still
be all right.
He'll still be okay.
So it'll definitely be interesting. Seeing them against the Knicks and then them against Indiana. See how Paul George plays against his old team. I expect both players to go really big against both those teams.
Cool, man. Well, that's all the time we have today for OSC Talk, talking some quick NBA basketball. Signing off for Jason Rivera. This is Ryan Rivera, and we'll catch you guys next time. Appreciate you taking the time to kick it with me, man.
Yes, sir. Anytime.